Hi, welcome to the Vaguely Anime Podcast. I am one of the hosts this evening, Michael, followed by other host, Sage.
Hi.
And special guest, ex-host.
Oh my god! Who is it? It's me.
It's that guy.
It's me.
It's Anthony. That guy that hasn't been here.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I'm here now, though. We're talking about
We let him out of the
shit
dungeon.
Yeah,
yeah. They let me out of Mike's basement, though.
Yeah.
They have a cat down there, though, so that's cool.
It's true.
It's a good perk.
And
They
now
have a
we're going to
beer
talk
fridge.
about the greatest show
Oh, you know
of
what
all
would have been
time.
great if I wore the same outfit that I wore in my last episode
Oh, that would be
to
so
this
funny.
one. So like the continuity between like, oh, they locked me in Mike's basement,
That would be funny.
and I would have
been
should have
pretty-
like
yeah.
ripped it up, you know?
That would have been pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm not that smart.
So, I don't know if you guys remember, but like 2 years ago, Anthony mentioned Genocyber and the ridiculousness, and I was just like, "What the fuck?" So we decided, as a joke, to watch it, and then it wasn't a joke, and we watched it, and I took notes.
Yeah, it was. So
Yeah.
basically, the conversation went. It was actually the first time I mentioned it was soon after Anthony had been like, "Hey man, my work schedule doesn't work for this anymore."
We were
And
like,
then-
"Yeah, that's true."
Yeah, that's fair. And then so like soon after that, I was like, messaging or talking to Sage and being like, "Hey, would you watch Chobits for the bit?" Or not Chobits, Genocyber, and then see if Anthony would come back for that episode. And you were like, "I'd do that." So I messaged Anthony and was like, "Hey, if we both watch Genocyber, will you come back for an episode to talk about Genocyber?" And you were like, "Fuck yeah, I will."
Fuck yeah, I will.
So then 6 months go by.
Yeah.
So however long
we're
you've been
really
gone.
on time with our trends.
Actually, I think it's been about a year.
Yeah, it's been like at least a year.
Yeah, because and I was like, and so Kat is gone this week,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is the moment.
Perfect time.
This is the moment we can do it.
Capitalize.
So I messaged Anthony. I was like, hey,
More like capitalize.
hey, we don't want you here anymore. So he was like,
How
all right,
dare
that's
you.
fair. And then he left the friend group, and we never talked to him again.
Oh my God.
We got into our separate limos, as we do,
Separate limos.
and never talked again.
Mike exited his own house and got into a separate limo.
Yeah, 'cause
and then
me
drove
and-
around the block.
Yeah,
and came
to come
back
back.
to get out of the car.
Because me and Anthony don't talk to each other. So
No.
once he left the
No, we don't.
podcast, it was
Then-
over.
This is the first time despite being locked in Mike's basement for over a year, I don't talk to Mike.
Yeah.
So it's really just crazy.
Really, it worked out
it
well
worked
for
out.
both of us because we hate each other anyway.
Yeah.
Mark
So,
got
sounds about
candy
right.
on my fucking tablet.
How dare he?
God damn
That's
it.
actually really annoying.
So anyway, the point of this whole story is we all decided to watch Genocyber, subject ourselves to the 5-episode masterpiece.
So,
You two the first time, me the fourth.
Yeah, apparently.
So I decided to watch it twice. One time just to watch it, experience, because sometimes if you go into something like I'm gonna analyze it, then you feel like you're missing stuff.
Yeah.
You're not getting the experience.
Well, it helps that it's only 5 episodes.
Right, and
you
it's
know,
only
so
5 episodes, and it was on YouTube as one ultra cut kind of
that
thing.
feel like 40
Yeah.
episodes.
So
Oh my
I was
God. I was so happy when I realized because I thought all of them were going to be OVA length,
my God.
40 something
Yeah.
minutes. And
Yeah,
then
Only the
and
first
then-
episode.
yeah, and then it
First
was
one.
only the first. I was like, thank
Yeah.
Christ.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch it once through, just watching it, and then the second time I would sit down and take notes while I was watching it. And as the episodes went by, I feel like I had less and less things to say because I just was not comprehending what the fuck was going on, to the point where I was like, I don't even know if something is bad because it's not relevant to literally anything else.
No, yeah, and honestly, make this the title of the episode because Genocyber doesn't make a lick of goddamn sense.
No.
At all. It doesn't make one iota of sense, whatever,
And
whatsoever.
I was trying to be very fair in my critique and notes. So I did what I would normally do, have a overall good, overall bad,
Yeah.
and then a breakdown of what was good and bad for each episode. By the time I got to episode 5 in the good category, there isn't a single bullet point because I just had no clue what was going on.
no.
Every
oscillate
episode
wildly
is
between time
every
periods.
episode is just a massively different thing that you could assume was a different story, except for the fact that
Some of the characters are the same.
A character kind of shows up every now and then wildly in like the 4th episode. Not only does everything change in majorly again, the main character that has been around doesn't show up at all except for one random silhouette of her.
Yeah.
Once. And you're just like, what is
And it's not even like I don't even think it's a thing of like, oh, it's each episode is like an anthology, right? Just all set in the same world. But like that can't be true because there's no satisfying beginning and ending story for each episode.
Nope.
Like so much and yet nothing happens.
Like, okay.
Should we take this episode by episode so the audience can get the full
Yeah, we can do that.
Genocyber experience?
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I'll just start because I actually wrote down notes, so it's easier for me to like tell you what I thought.
Yeah.
I felt like episode 1 actually had the most positives. Out of all of them, episode 1 definitely
Strong start.
I'll give you that it's the one that makes the most amount of sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Although 2 of my positives, actually no, 3 of the positive aren't even like, oh, this was like a cool way to show something.
Yeah.
Right. They're just like funny things that I thought were like good.
Yeah.
So I actually like the opening to the show where it's like that home video of like the scientist being like, oh, this is what we're doing, you know, like that kind of like home movie feeling. I like that. I thought that was interesting. And the first time I was watching it through,
I feel like it had nothing to do with anything.
I found out it didn't. But
well, it just kind of explains what a vagina is.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, a vajra is.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I was first watching it, I thought to myself, okay,
like
this
a
is
win.
interesting. Like we're going to have like human experimentation and like corrupt scientists and like how far are we like willing to push humans for like achievements and like, you know, evolution and things like that. Right.
Which we got.
Kind of.
What we got.
So that's what I was thinking this, 30-second opening was going to lead us to. It didn't really do that. My ideas, I think, were much more grand than what we were presented.
You were too smart for Genocyber.
Like, I just felt like in my brain, I was like, oh shit, we're going to get some like really interesting elements and like really get into like the nitty gritty of like what makes someone a human and like what's like a human's value, right?
Yeah.
No, absolutely the fuck not.
Not all. Not at all.
So I wrote so that was my first thing. And then the next 3 points, which are kind of more bullshit points. 1, the gang leader's head gets fucking disintegrated.
Sure does.
Gosh, she
Yeah.
ruined his
Fucking
day.
does.
In my
She
overall
ruined his day.
good, I wrote, I like the way that they don't shy away from like the body horror and like showing kind of very grotesque imagery. I think it works for the show. Like, it doesn't feel like lazy, if that makes sense. Like, I think it is that violent.
Okay.
And like the emotions, even if they're unfounded, are that extreme. You know what I mean? So I like that they didn't shy away from it, and it was not like edited or censored weirdly.
Yeah.
I like that it was just, this is the body horror, and here it is, whatever. But it doesn't linger on it either.
Yeah.
It's
No,
very
they fully
quick.
show a man ripping out his own brain in
Right.
graphic detail.
But
Sure
but
do.
it's really quick, so I don't really mind that.
No.
So that was one of my good points in this episode.
Sure.
Another good point. So you know that like trio that's after Elaine for some reason?
Hey, the cyborgs.
Sure. Which I was confused because I thought Elaine was special because her and Diana are robots. So I was like, okay, so they're the only robots,
No.
these other people are
They're
also
not robots.
They're cyborgs.
No. I thought they were regular people, and Elaine is a regular human with powers, but she doesn't have like she has the nervous system of an animal. Where they say this, verbatim.
Yeah.
And her sister is normal, but she can't use her body. Like her body is like doesn't work.
She's
No,
like
they're
paralyzed.
both-
Yeah,
They're both-
and so they give her a body because her body doesn't work.
Well, they give her the Genocyber.
Yeah, but
alpha.
Elaine is a regular person.
But Elaine also has
They're
a
both
cyborg
regular
body.
people.
Later, when she gets fucking killed.
They're both
when
regular
she nukes
people.
the city, that's when she gets the cyborg body.
I guess.
From the neck down.
Yeah, but regular, but in the first episode, she is. I'm pretty sure a regular person.
They're both regular people.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
they're both human beings.
I thought she also.
But then Diana just fucks off.
I thought she always had a cyborg body, and she had like a.
Diana
Elaine becomes a cyborg in the beginning of the second episode.
Yeah, and Diana
we don't even know how she became it. She just shows up and is a cyborg.
That's why I thought she was the whole time.
No.
Yeah, so the people
she's
that
dead.
are
She dies. Her body dies.
The people that are after her, the like over the top, like villainous, like female leader that they have, I wrote lady in lab coat because when they first show her, I thought it was a lab coat, but it's just like a white cropped coat. Cuts body shape hole into train door for dramatic entrance.
Sure does.
I was like, you could have just cut a square. That would have been less time.
I thought the same
whole
thing.
vibe was just she was extra.
But it was really funny.
Thing.
Also, the line that Diana says to Elaine when I guess they're having like a sister fight or whatever. I think it's time I put you out of my misery.
Yeah, I know. No,
I wrote savage.
No, as I was watching that, I was like, no, you could tell like the writer was like.
Yeah, you just know they were like, I am so fucking good.
They are in their head. They're picturing the fucking the meme with the writing on pen and the pages on fire.
Yeah, no, literally.
Like, yeah,
that is such a baller ass line. And I was like, ugh, boy. So, Diana has a lot of heaters in the first episode, honestly.
I feel like she's just like out to cut you with her words. So that was it for the good in episode 1. We now move on to the much longer list that was bad.
Okay.
I feel like episode 1 I comprehended the most.
Yeah, it's the one that's the most. It's the one that actually moves in a linear fashion.
Right.
It's also the one that, like, if it was the whole story of 5 episodes, it would make much more sense because they're like, you set up the detective trying to take down this corporation. You set up these fucking regular cyborgs that are apparently more powerful than the scientific group.
Well, that's the thing. Is just that episode 1 is all set up and no payoff.
No.
Yes.
Episode 1,
everybody
all
just
it is,
fucking dies.
No, that's the thing. Is just Tokyo is reduced to fucking ash. I'm sorry. Hong Kong is just reduced to ash.
Which, by the way,
which just is just like a lazy way of being like, we don't have to go to bed. We don't have to go back to any of this.
Like
later.
that's what I wrote for overall bad. I noticed this in my first watch through. The first episode has a lot of setup and like events that they're talking about. But then it doesn't go anywhere and doesn't have any effect on the story or characters.
Which is the perfect summation of how much like random bullshit happens is sometimes the anime will just switch to live action.
Okay, I noticed that.
Yeah, it will.
And I was so genuinely confused. Like the guy who
like
got,
not in a panty and stocking way where they defeat the enemy and it's just like a little clay version of the enemy that they just put a fucking firecracker in and explode. Like it's just random bullshit.
And it's really funny because when they do it, they're trying to hide that it's just live action shots.
Also, but that's the thing. I think
the amount of backgrounds that are just
the cheap thing before because I think that's so cheap. Like, they didn't animate the background at all. They just took a photo of a dude walking through Hong Kong and was just like, yeah, this is our background.
It's probably not even Hong Kong pictures. The pictures are probably just fucking Tokyo.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's probably just like Japan.
And the thing, like, so the one of the guys who's like after Elaine, he's like, oh, there's bugs in my brain.
Yeah,
right?
The guy who
and
rips
it's
out
just
his brain.
they just start flashing like 25% opacity, like actual pictures
like
of
stock
bugs.
footage of a fly eating.
And,
and then there's definitely one where it's like a paper mache fly that they're just hitting against something that looks like it could be a brain.
Like, it caught me so off guard. I was like, what is
I was like, this horrifying moment is completely undercut by the fact that you just put this stock footage of a fly eating like tree sap or some shit. I was like, oh my God.
But yeah,
that's awful.
It's so weird. And then I noticed also, especially in the first episode, they kept doing these like weird, like slower, more somber scenes, right? Where I don't know if it was supposed to be like visions or flashbacks or what.
Yeah.
But they were more like hand
like sketch
drawn,
ones.
Yeah, like sketch.
Oh,
but they look so weird.
Yeah, when the kid falls in love with Elaine.
Yeah,
for like
they
a
looked
minute.
so bizarre. I was like, why does this look like you like rotoscope something?
That was what Mike was saying, because we watched half of the first episode together. He was like, wow, somebody just saw Aha's Take on Me video. And I was like, yeah,
it was so bizarre. And they kept doing this like weird like 50% opacity like overlays on things. I was like, why are we doing this to convey something? Please stop. It looks fucking terrible. Like they do that with Elaine and Diana, where they first see Elaine like on a surveillance tape, right? And they're like, oh, she looks just like, right? And then it's like 25% opacity, like still image of Diana over Elaine's face, except they don't match at all.
It looks like
they're looking in opposite directions.
It straight up looks like an 80s music video at times. It's like, it's really jarring. Like, it's really funny.
And I get it. Like, if this was someone's passion project and you have like $5 to make it, but ouch. Like, it's the quality is so poor overall, and like even for 90s standards, like I kept saying to myself, it's 90s, you know, you can, they only, but that's a fucking lie. Okay, like I mean,
there was plenty of amazing things made in the 90s, but you could tell like this thing didn't have like the biggest budget in the world.
This had like 70s budget.
I think most of it like went into the action, because like
even the action was kind of still.
But I would even say like even the action, like there was a lot of like really grotesque detail when like the body horror happened,
right?
And it was like really smooth and like well animated and stuff like that. So I think you can kind of tell that the most of because I feel like they were like, oh yeah, people are just gonna watch this shit for like the fake waxing poetic on like the fucking state of humanity at the moment and how we can better ourselves, or the disgusting body horror and action that's going to come out of it, you know?
Yeah, I felt like it was weird because like in terms of the plot, whatever
in big quotation marks,
whatever that might have been, because I could not tell you what it was.
To say?
I felt like at times the story wanted to straddle like this message about like the cost of war, right? And like, so we keep seeing like all these like kids getting fucking annihilated.
Dude, in the beginning of the second episode, when the kids just get fucking shredded,
seriously,
I was like, what is this?
So at first I was like, okay, maybe it's like a thing about like the cost of war and like the human element and how like major superpowers don't understand that, right?
Yeah.
And they only see it as like numbers and success, right? But then at the same time, I thought they were trying to do this whole like science bit and like human value. So I was like, okay, I could see how those two things coincide.
I'm not going to lie,
though. But then
like,
it wasn't either of those things, because neither of those plots progressed any further than the setup.
And episode 2 ends the same way episode 1 does, with the entire nation just getting fucking vaporized.
Yeah, seriously. I was like, wait, what?
Like, but what I will praise the show for one thing. At the beginning of the second episode, I like that little like blink and you miss it twist where they were like, where like the episode opens up with the helicopters coming in, and you're like, oh fuck, you know, and they shred the children into Swiss cheese,
right?
And then and then it cuts to like the boardroom meeting of like all the United Nations members, and they're like, yeah, so our helicopters were just seen crossing over the border, and they engaged some targets, and it was like, oh shit. Because you like the show kind of made you think it was the country that is currently on the offensive, like the United Nations enemy that like killed their own civilians, but in actuality it was the American government that did it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a little bit of an interesting kind of twist.
Also, just to like skip a little bit in terms of like episode order, when episode 4 starts and we're essentially in like a completely new story.
Which, by the way,
essentially,
yeah. By the way, for that, because Anthony brought it up right before we had started, that they had switched the company name or whatever.
Right.
So it's not a new company. Just the people making the dub had for the first 3 episodes had mistranslated it. So then 4 or 5, they just corrected the translation.
So bad, dude. Like.
But yeah, anyway, continue.
Yeah. So in episode 4, when we're seeing this, like, you know, city and the mayor and his police state and then like the underground, right? So I was like, I'm really confused. I'm like, is this supposed to be the United States? Is this supposed to be like a East Asian country? I don't know where the hell this is located. But for that specifically, I wrote down, I was like, I said, why is this on some North Korea shit?
Hello?
So, can circle back for a second
Yeah.
to the first episode. When they merge bodies and become the titular Genocyber.
Right.
Which, by the way, I don't think they addressed that name until, like, way later.
I don't think they ever say Genocyber in the rest of the series except for, like, the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think they ever call
it they do in, like, episode 2 at some point.
Oh.
Because that's where I found out that's what that was called. Because somebody's like, it's the Genocyber. And I'm like, it is?
It's what?
But during the fight with the cyborgs or whatever, her friend, what is his name? Fucking Rat or whatever.
He has a name?
Yeah. Rat, I think.
Rat.
Disappears during the fight, which she's trying to protect him.
Wait, that young boy.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he had a name.
Who doesn't speak until he's a ghost. Remember him?
Yeah. And he disappears at some point. She fucking murders the people, flies them into a plane. Plane explodes. Which, by the way, I think the second episode, the doctor or whatever that adopts her,
doctor's daughter was on the plane.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so. I was like, but I have no idea if that's what that's trying to say.
I don't know if this is accurate.
I didn't know if they were just putting this in because it looked cool or it had actually.
But at some point, Rat just disappears. It's not like they show him getting put down or being dropped or whatever. He's just gone. And then after the fight, she lands on a construction building and is like crying. And then she looks up after some blood gets dropped on her, and he's just fucking dead.
He's spread eagle on steel beams
and they're like,
in the middle of a construction site.
I remember watching that being like, was he dropped? How did he get here? And so the funniest part about this is I pulled up Genocyber on fucking Wikipedia to find out other shit.
Right.
In the fucking synopsis for episode 1 of this, it literally says that he presumably dies from falling. But it is never shown
where he was lifted up. We may never know.
Like the fucking cyborg's holding him in the air at some point, but like 10 feet above a regular building, and then he's just gone, and the fight's happening, and then we just cut to he's fucking dead on some steel beams because I guess apparently he ended up there somehow, and then he's a ghost.
So
and she nukes a city.
While I was watching this, I noticed this, and I think this is more so in episode 1 because I didn't notice it as much for the rest of the episodes. But I was like, I'm so confused because in episode 1 they state that they're in Hong Kong, right? Why do so many characters have these weird, at least in the dub, fake New York, New Jersey accents? It was throwing me off so much. I was like, where the fuck are we supposed to be? Because usually a dub, unless it has a specific location outside of Japan, the people just have like the no accent American accent, if that makes sense, right? So I'm like, why do some characters have a New York /
I'm literally sitting there
New
and I hear
Jersey
this fucking
accent.
guy just go, "Oh, the fucking Genocyber's coming to rampage."
Yeah, I was like, what is
I'm
going
like, hello? I'm
Also-
like, Uncle Tony, hello?
Also, I felt like the way they like incorporated like swearing, I was like,
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
no,
But like not in a good way.
it was very awkward. It felt like they were like, oh, we got to add a couple of F-bombs in here.
I pissed my pants when the two cyborgs were about to change, and like the one lady's like locked up. She's like, but it sounded like a text-to-speech generator saying, "I can't fucking move." I was dying, dude. She's like, "I can't fucking move."
It feels like every time there was an F-bomb dropped, it was like added in after the fact.
I was going to say, it felt like the actor ad-libbed it in.
like
there was
they
no
say the
F-bomb.
line, they were like, we should put a curse word
We
in
should
there.
put a fuck in there.
Yeah.
That'd be the one. That's the place to put it.
It's
Can't
like-
fucking move.
Oh, I also was like, I am so confused. Why is Elaine so upset about this kid dying? You spent literally one day together.
It's the only
'Cause
person that's
they were
ever
her
cared
only
about
friend.
her.
They were her only friends.
It's the only time she ever escaped or whatever, and she met someone that.
I don't know.
That eye roll that you just did had a gravitational pull.
I don't know. I don't know about that. It's the only time she's escaped because they literally say in the same episode that she's escaped before.
Sage, they don't listen to their own logic. Why do you think
So,
that they would remember about the fact
that not under lock and key? She's just free to fucking go.
Yeah, I mean they do. Yeah, because the sister is there constantly to rein her in.
And the sister's like, I don't understand why I have to be here to get her.
Also, I love how both of these characters, Diana and Elaine, are supposed to be presented as like sympathetic or like
Not
empathetic
at all.
But the first time we ever see Diana, she fucking kills a kid. And then Elaine levels a city.
I literally wrote, Diana is a menace for literally no reason.
She murders a little girl.
She murders the little girl, and then when the detective is there talking to the doctor about the incident 14 or 13 years ago.
Which do they ever even...
No. We don't know what the incident is.
What's the incident?
It does not clear up anything.
I'd like to know.
I even wrote down the back and forth with the detective and professor is supposed to create intrigue about what the experiments were, right?
Yeah.
We
Instead,
don't
we got
get any
PPOV.
explanation. It's just weird, like, exposition with no
Until
the only interesting background, the only flashback we got in this episode was the PPOV.
Oh
yeah, the pussy POV.
The pussy POV.
The birth canal POV, which I did not need in my life.
And
there was like an extended dialogue scene from the perspective.
But
of
that's
this
also
woman's
what
pussy.
the one thing that we do learn, the one background knowledge that we do learn, which is that they are in fact not that fucking doctor's kids.
Right.
And Elaine's
Yeah,
idiot. Why would you think that? And Diane, and like, but like mentally, because she can't talk. And Diana's like, why wouldn't I think that? He's our dad. She's like, no, fucking moron.
Yeah,
then she doesn't
goddamn
accept
idiot.
that until she dies.
And also, okay, so about the birth canal POV.
I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
I don't know if you've ever watched hentai before, but sometimes
we've watched it together even.
Oh, we have. Right. But sometimes I don't know if this
Our
happened.
yearly Comic-Con porn watch.
I don't know if this happened in the one we watched, but sometimes you'll get like these X-ray shots, right? Where it's like so you can see like the penetration, but like through the stomach, right?
Classic maneuver.
The birth canal POV significantly worse.
It was just a thick chasm that we were watching this dialogue scene happen.
I truly
and then a hand.
Yeah, like I truly want to know, like whoever created this, animated this, wrote this was like this, because I can't imagine.
You know what Genocyber needs?
I can't imagine one person did every single thing, right?
No.
So this
one
birth
person-
canal POV had to go through several people, and they were like, "Yeah, let's put that shit in there."
Yeah,
absolutely.
That shit's fire. Let's put that in there.
Like it was just such a straight. I even wrote birth canal POV. What am I watching in all caps?
Why this conversation couldn't have been done from like any other point of view?
Yeah, like why do I?
I don't know.
I also
Because you need the hand reaching out. What is the shot going to be instead? That facing the vagina, and then you see the hand come out of the vagina.
Whoa!
That'd be worse.
Also,
I
like that the implication of the birth canal POV is Diana being like literally remembering her own birth.
No. I think it's Elaine, isn't it? Elaine's the one that's reaching out.
Oh, I thought it was Diana.
Because Diana can't move her body.
She's the one that thinks that Kenneth is the dad.
Yeah,
right.
because Diana can't move her body, so she wouldn't have been able to.
Right. You're right. Yeah. Sorry. So I like the implication that Elaine is remembering her own birth.
Now I'm just imagining Junji Ito style like art, but with like the POV of looking outside the vagina and a hand coming out of the vagina, and just in Junji Ito style, and it's like this creepy fucking random child. It's like.
Caught him red-handed.
No, this shit is wild. Also, when we get to episode 2 and we're like on the aircraft carrier, right? And you have the scientist who has his like robot.
Yeah, that fucking guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I am just very confused or they did not explain this.
Go on.
The Vajranoid, as they call it.
A name?
I don't know if this Vajranoid is pure robot or like robot with a human brain.
There's a human in it.
There is a human in it.
Full human body
and also
brain
can't
dead.
move. Yeah.
Yeah. Brain dead human in there.
Wait, but how can it be brain dead and have the like mind shadows?
Oh, brain dead in the sense of like they can't like speak or like move.
They can't do anything, but
can
they are there.
Control it with their mind.
Yeah, so they're not brain dead. They are
so they're
a
not
vegetable.
Okay, they're physically a vegetable, but their brain still works.
Yes.
Okay, because I was very confused throughout. Because the way they first show it to you, you think it's a full robot, and then I thought it was like an AI, like full sentient robot, and then I was like, maybe it's just a brain inside of a robot's body.
Yeah.
And I was going through the levels because I was like, someone please just tell me what is in this robot.
Leave it to Genocyber to really ask the question, what if a brain dead human had performance anxiety? Because throughout this thing, the fucking evil scientist is like, why can't you do this simple thing? And he's like screaming at him.
And he's like, I get nervous sometimes.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. Because
he constantly constantly doesn't listen to him, and he's like, why don't you do what I told you? And then because he chases after the helicopter with Elaine in it, which is his job.
Yeah, he commandeers the fucking jet. And
and he gets. Then they all get in trouble, and he's like, "Why didn't you do what I said?" And he's like, "Well, technically, I was going after the thing that I found that you tasked me to kill."
Also, when we see the kids get fucking shredded. I wrote, was there a time skip? When did she get more friends? Or does she consider any person who's not a piece of shit her friend?
This also implies that she's been like living in this country for like a long time, because like she's noticeably aged too, and like she has this cybernetic body.
Yeah.
So like a significant amount of time has passed. And it was like, when were we ever going to see this?
And
like,
then I wrote,
were we gonna
why
know
is
about
Laura / Elaine fighting the robot? Do they have beef? Like I truly didn't know why they were fighting each other.
Like I said, there's no rhyme or reason to anything that happens in Genocyber. What I love most about the show is that there's no rules to it. Anything can happen at any given moment. Like the Genocyber, there's no.
I feel like what happened was whoever created Genocyber had a bunch of ideas and was like, all these ideas are really cool.
Yeah.
But I don't have like good enough through lines for each individual one.
Yeah.
So if I just stick them all
so if I just throw shit at the wall.
If I just stick them all into one project.
And I imagine all of that shit sticking to the wall, we're going to make a really good anime.
If I throw them all into one project, at some point a cohesive story will happen.
So the manga it's based off of got 1 volume before it was canceled.
There's a manga?
Yeah, it's based off. It's also rated just as bad. But I'm curious if it's more cohesive, just bad, but like makes sense. And then
I have to imagine the manga must just be the first episode.
Well, I have to imagine like a bunch of talented animators got together and were like, all right, listen, there's this manga that just came out. It's called Genocyber. It looks really cool. Let's try to adapt it. And then they got like the manga, they got like the spec scripts and shit, and they were like, what the fuck is this? How are we gonna do this?
They had the same initial thoughts that I had, that it was going to go into like this super deep chasm of like the human experience and like the value of a human being, and then they were like, "Oh, it's not that." But we already signed on to do it.
But like it says that it was adapted into a 5-part series, and then it says but the plot of the anime and manga differ significantly. The only thing they have in common is that they are both notable for extreme violence.
I see.
Well, that'll do it. But like I was saying before, there's like no rules to how anything functions in this world.
Not at all.
So like Genocyber, right? Like the thing, like the big biological thing, right?
Right.
It just has these powers.
Is
okay,
it a
so it's like
robot
okay
or no.
I don't know.
No,
okay.
I think it's like it's like a fucking flesh monster.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like because I felt like at some point don't we see like robot parts, or that's the other robot.
In its physical form, Genocyber is a gigantic humanoid monster, which the scientist calls a Vajra. In addition to having almost unlimited strength and regenerative abilities, Genocyber also possesses incredible telekinetic and pyrokinetic powers.
But here's what that's where my thing exists, right? Because like inevitably this is gonna get compared to Evangelion, right? But with Evangelion, there's
thinking about Evangelion.
No, this is the poor man's Evangelion. Like, let's be real. But anyway,
this is like the poverty.
And there's something that I want to say about Evangelion.
Proto Evangelion, because Evangelion didn't come out.
This didn't come out yet. Evangelion didn't come out yet. But there is something I want to say later about Evangelion. But anyway, like
Should I pull up my Evangelion notes?
Talk about how bad it is.
All right. Anyway, so
I wrote
It's on the podcast. We have to talk about how bad Evangelion is.
There's no through line to how like anything power related works on the Genocyber, because because in the first episode it is strictly like we are fighting a mind war. You know what I mean? Like the Genocyber is using mind powers and physical strength to kill things.
Right,
and then at the end of
Kong.
right. So, but you think it's like, oh, it's your standard mecha, right? But then at the end, it vaporizes. But it's not. But like, for comparison's sake, let's just say it's a mecha.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, because it has like the same functionality, there's somebody in it, and it has a variety of powers.
Right.
Right. But then at the end of the episode, it fucking vaporizes Hong Kong, and it's like, oh shit. Okay, so this is a very powerful thing. Episode 2 rolls around. Genocyber's arm gets sliced off. And you're like, okay, fine. Appendage lost. Then it proceeds to infect an entire ship.
The arm becomes sentient.
The arm becomes sentient, turning the entire crew into a massive flesh monster a la The Thing. And, like, completely, like, caves in people's skulls, makes them explode, makes them, assimilates them into, like, this gigantic flesh monster. And then, okay, sure. But you see what I mean?
Right.
There's no there is constantly and I understand the need to evolve like a character or like a piece of machinery in the way that because Evangelion does.
But there's no point in evolving if you didn't establish anything.
But that's the thing. It's like where was the fact that where was it mentioned that if I cut this thing's arm off, it becomes sentient and becomes like a host for this entire biological terrorism, a mass of flesh.
They do mention that it started injecting itself into her to consume her body, and then they were like, when she ripped it off, some of it had still been in the hand, which meant it could then evolve.
I thought the robot was trying to connect.
So it started taking her over because Elaine's arm starts turning red.
Right.
She fucking rips that shit off, throws it into the ceiling. And then those soldiers explode, and they say that the doctor is like he was taking over her body, but then when he killed her and separated the arm, part of his Vajra or whatever the fuck was in the arm, and enough of it was there for it to continue its thought process of, I gotta consume everything and kill the Genocyber.
And
then it spreads. So then it spreads everywhere.
I see.
So they do say that it's stupid, and it's just really bad. And I would, because I want to keep pulling this up. The synopsis for this on a website officially synopsizing it.
Right.
Summarizing it would be the word, but synopsizing is what I'm going with.
Synopsizing
Is it straight up says that unlike the previous OVA, Elaine now has a largely cybernetic body from the neck down. Although it is unclear why or how this change occurred, and they're never given a reason.
Again, see what I mean? There's no rhyme or reason. There's no connective tissue. There's no indication that these people have gotten stronger at all, even though the power level that was already displayed was pretty significant.
Yep.
Things just happen. Things just kind of happen in this OVA, and I feel like if they just kind of lent it, got rid of all the philosophical shit and just stuck to the hardcore, just okay, evil corporation, girl with unlimited power, she just goes. She just goes and just takes down this corporation and makes the world better for everybody.
Right.
But there was no need for her to be this planet leveling unstoppable force, because she knew what she was doing throughout the entire thing. She can easily call on the Genocyber to fight. And, you know what I mean? So there was some restraint there. So having her level Hong Kong, having her level an entire country, having her fight this 100-year-long war against the entire world,
right,
doesn't really lend to a sympathetic character.
But I feel like not only does it not lend to a sympathetic character, when she's doing all of this, like thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't really get it. Is it supposed to be that like this is an outward expression of like the most extreme grief a person can withstand, right? Like can handle and like go through. Is that what this is supposed to be?
Because the mom just breaks down, man.
Right. Like, so you have like Moira, who she has like a fucking mental breakdown, right?
I mean, can you blame her? She was my favorite character in the whole thing.
Also, I would like to point out.
But then you have. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
But then you have like Elaine, and it keeps telling you that she's having these friends who are getting fucking shredded by, a military source that she doesn't know who or what they are. Yeah. So she's like, okay, I'll just destroy the world's militaries.
I don't think she's thinking about it that way.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, is that what it's supposed to be? Because that's not really what it's conveying.
Right.
But
no,
is it
just,
like
it's not trying to be anything.
There's things I think
it comes off as her throwing a temper tantrum.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but it's just such an extreme reaction, and there's no follow through to anything that I can't imagine it would be any of the things that I thought that they could be, because it doesn't lead to anything.
Right.
And you can tell this anime is like staunchly kind of anti-military,
Oh,
anti-war,
right.
anti like what's the word? Like I guess
World
anti-fascist
government?
in a way.
Anti-world government?
No, just like anti-war, just in general, like anti-fascist in a way.
Right. Like,
which like yeah, agreeable sentiments, but like the way that this woman like goes about toppling that is just to raise the entire world.
Right.
But also, so it's, like, it's not even like she's doing that with the knowledge of being like anti-fascist. It's just like, you fucking hurt me, so you're gonna die because I'm right next to you.
It's a selfish expression.
Like, it's clearly just like this thing on the ship hurt her, not in a way that she's like you're a fucking symbol of war. It's just like, no, you're trying to kill me. So
now I gotta destroy
kill
the
you.
whole place.
And then the whole ship gets turned over, and then tries to kill the one girl, the woman that she likes, and she's like, all right, well now I gotta kill this whole fucking ship. Like, it's not like there's no logic. It's just because they say like she's just based on like an animal. So like there's no logic. It's just protecting what attacks her. So like she's on the carrier and happy and whatever, and is fine being there on the thing that just shot and killed all the people. She's fine with that until something attacks her. So, like, it's not like she's like, fuck these people, I'm going on this ship to do something. It's just like, oh, I'm in this new place and people are nice to me. Yay! Oh, God, something's attacking me. Kill it. That's about it.
I mean, and therein lies the problem, though.
Yeah. And also, the scientist dude that made that robot guy, he finds the severed arm and, like, reactivates it.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Yeah, that's right. So the thing he created was within the arm. He then like reactivates it and makes it like a new thing, and then that's why it spreads everywhere.
Oh.
So that's what happens.
So, just to jump ahead, when it becomes a new story in episode 4.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that.
I was very confused, right? So, it says that it has like. It opens with these completely new characters, which is Ryu and his girlfriend Mel. Yeah. Right? So it shows that, and then they're like, oh, we need to get surgery for you so you can see again, and we'll have awkward sex while we talk about you being blind. Very weird.
Yeah, pillow talk.
Yeah, pillow talk.
They're like, but the doctor said we need the money for that surgery, and you're like, this is so hot right now.
Yeah, it was
so
very
gross.
Weird. But then, so it shows that, and then it shows what I can only assume is a flashback to like Elaine. She's like going around fighting the world in general, and then she just plummets herself into the earth because Diana's like, you can stop this, and she's like, you know what, you're right, let me stop, let me just call it quits here. Like, I destroyed 50% of the world, but you're right, I've had enough. So she just plummets into the earth and solidifies, I think.
Yeah.
Or turns into rock.
Yeah.
Or stone.
Yep.
Maybe. Who
Sure.
knows? Not me.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column all the way to Z.
And then it goes to like showing this new city's mayor and world order or whatever it is, and the guy is like, kill all the criminals and poor people. We must wipe the earth of this scum. I'm like, damn, that is extremely aggressive. Like, you need to chill, broski, right? So it shows that, and then it shows Ryu, and he's doing some gang shit. Who cares? And then him and Mel get separated, and then she's with like these religious people who I couldn't tell if they were supposed to be like too religious or just religious enough.
Well, they think didn't they think Genocyber was God or whatever?
Basically.
Okay, but that's the thing. I couldn't tell if they were thinking that the Genocyber was God or that Genocyber was the devil and original sin.
Like, basically,
'Cause
they're
kinda
like
showing
worshiping it,
both.
but then the blind lady shows up and is like, "My God," but then doesn't really explain why she's saying "My God,"
Right.
and then the priest is like, "What have we done?" And you're like,
The priest is like,
To
oh,
what?
you're the prophet. Like, what did God say to you? And she's like, I don't fucking know.
She's like, that was God, huh? It's like,
and like he has like a minor freak out, and then like fucking 5 minutes later, it's a new scene. He's like, "What have you said about God?" And it's like, wait, so you're
not gonna finish that one.
I think Mel even says something along the effect of, if that was God, then like
he was
it
terrifying.
seemed like a devil. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I'm just like, so is the Genocyber supposed to be God or the devil? Because I kept kind of like going back and forth, and I was very
I think that's maybe this shows like attempt at like a gray area when like all we've seen
But
the
priest
Genocyber do is
himself
commit
was
genocide.
going back and forth.
So like,
You know what I mean?
yeah, no, but I'm saying like through the priest, like that's the show's way of saying like, oh, the Genocyber's a bit of a gray area. But like it doesn't work because all we've seen the Genocyber do is fucking commit genocide.
Right. And
So
just
like it
fucking,
doesn't
like,
work.
level cities.
Yeah.
So that had me extremely confused. Yes.
I found what they thought.
Oh, please
Enlighten
elaborate.
us.
Give me an answer.
The scene shifts back to Mel, who is taken in by a religious sect which opposes the mayor. The sect believes that the destruction brought by Genocyber was a punishment from God and believes that Mel is God's messenger who will prevent such destruction from happening again. So they believe that that the Genocyber is bad.
Okay.
And then he has the freak out because he's realizing that she is talking to the Genocyber. But then he's like, but he's still holding out hope that she is the messenger for God. And she's like, I'm not talking to God. Like,
Okay.
fucking chill.
I don't know if that was communicated in the show,
probably not at all.
but I guess what you said makes sense.
Yeah, basically, like, there's the dream. So under orders to destroy anything destroying the neighbor, they attack the church, killing everyone, including Mel, apparently, because they don't show that. Then she's just dead.
Right.
The dude takes the bullet for her, and then you think the scene ends. Like, they're like, they just leave or whatever. But then it just hard cuts to all the kids are dead, and so is Mel. And then she, in her mind, is like, but our unborn child! And you're like, okay. And then in an apparent dream, Diana begs Elaine not to turn into the Genocyber again, stating our power has no place in this world. Mel, who appears to be in some sort of cocoon, asks Diana for help.
Mel is like, let me fuck these people up.
Stating that if she dies, the child she is carrying will never be born. And that
But
she
isn't
wants...
she already dead?
Yeah. That's what that says.
Okay.
And she also states that she wants the city destroyed. Diana warns against such power, but it's too late. The Genocyber awakens as Elaine, Diana, and Mel amalgamate into a red version of the Genocyber, which is larger and more destructive.
Yeah, and he puts the mayor through a goddamn window.
Yep.
Awesome.
The Genocyber attacks the city, kills the mayor, and then all of its citizens. By the time the rampage is over, the entire city is left in ruins. And then
Again, we're supposed to like the Genocyber?
yeah,
Like, I don't...
And then it's just the Genocyber then apparently has the power to resurrect people and resurrects Mel and Ryu.
When was when was this? I don't. Sure.
She and Ryu fall to the burning city. The Genocyber reverts to its small form, and they are both seen. They ascend to the sky. The Genocyber flies into space, attacks the orbiting space station, which, breaks fucking everything, kills everyone. And then Diana's voice calls to Elaine. The images of the girl superimposed against the Genocyber are briefly seen, freezing the entire space station. The space station falls out of orbit, explodes as it enters the atmosphere. The last scene shows Mel, who is no longer blind. Didn't even notice that part.
Yeah, at the very end, she opens her eyes.
And Ryu lying unconscious in the ruins. As Mel opens her eyes, she hears Diana's voice calling Big Sister, and the scene turns to a giant ruined body of the Genocyber while a baby is heard crying in the background.
Yeah. It does, in fact, end like that.
Yeah.
That's what the credits were. The series of stills show that Mel brought up her dark-haired son along a blonde girl of the reincarnated version of, and then this says reincarnation of Elaine and or Diana ?
LOL.
It could be.
So when Mel is in the church, right? In episode 4, there's this really weird scene where you see the church and then like the ghost of Diana is there and her line is, "I am who I am, Diana." And I wrote down, what the fuck? Girl, why are you in the church? Did your mind/spirit go to the future? Because, like, didn't you die at least 100 years ago?
Yeah, man, future. The future mind lives forever.
I am so...
Or whatever.
So completely confused. And then, at some point... You did answer one of my questions, though, because I wrote, did Diane/Elaine just freeze the satellite that they were in? Because I was like, wait, when did they get these powers?
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Literally just fucking whatever. Like, it just...
At some point, you just got to stop questioning it and just be like, yeah, all right, they have that now,
Yeah, all right. I guess that's fair.
Fine.
Because it's just...
Because I gave up. On trying. I'm just trying to be like,
just freezes itself in the fucking space station, then it just falls to Earth.
Okay. Yeah, like,
I wrote down, I watched this twice, and to be completely honest, I don't know how to summarize what I watched into a cohesive plot description.
Because
Neither
nothing
did the
about
writer.
it is cohesive. It's not possible to be.
I couldn't tell you, like, in other ways where I could be like, oh, Game of Thrones, this is what it's about, right? Yeah. And then just give you, like, a quick summary. Right? And you'd be like, oh, okay. I couldn't tell you, Genocyber, this is what it's about, because I'd have to explain literally everything that happens for it to still not make sense.
Like, episode 1 and 2 are the only ones that are closest to being related. And if you tried to explain those two, someone would be like, well, wait, she's a cyborg body now? And you'd be like, oh, yeah, we never get told that. Like, it's just like, there's still massive gaps of information between 1 and 2, which are the only ones that really combine into anything.
And it's also like, wait, when does the, like, through line of the things they bring up?
Or I guess 1 through 3, because
I think
2
and 3 are the same story.
Right.
So,
but it's like, if somebody ever was like, okay, so what's the ending? You would be like, I don't know.
2 people get brought back to life somehow, even though we don't know how. And then there's
alive though. I thought they were just like spirits.
It literally says that they were resurrected. It suddenly gets the ability to bring the dead back to life and resurrects Mel and Ryu and drops them onto a building.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant Elaine and Diana.
Oh, no. They get reincarnated or whatever.
I thought they were like ghosts.
No, they become that baby or whatever.
Right. They become the baby, but before they become the baby, I thought they were just like ghost spirit things.
No, they just live in the Genocyber body.
Both of them?
Yeah.
I guess
well, yeah, because the Genocyber body is both of them.
Gotcha.
Because Elaine takes over Diana, and that's what makes the Genocyber.
Could be.
The 2 of them are needed to make it.
Yeah.
I understand. But
Diana's got her own shit.
Because, like, they're supposed to be one or something. But then they were, like, through experiments or whatever the fuck, that's why they're fucked up, is that they were, like, separated into 2.
I see.
So that's why they're both, like, messed up. And one has the ability to move, and the other has the ability to think, and not like an animal. And then when they come together, they make the Genocyber.
Body and mind, baby.
Yeah.
That's all you need, I guess, to be a...
And the Vajra.
And the Vajra.
And the PPOV.
Yeah.
I still don't quite understand what the Vajra is supposed to be.
It's like a wind.
It is like a wind.
Of chi.
It's a wind of chi.
Yeah, I got really confused. But then he was like, it's mind shadows. And I'm like, I don't understand.
Your guess is as good as mine.
What
yeah,
that
man.
means.
If you got a shadow and then you take a thing and you put and then you get the fucking mind shadows.
I think from like the first line of the series, I was like, this is bullshit. Because he was like, if the human condition is studied at a higher plane. And I was like, shut the fuck up.
No.
Shut your goddamn mouth,
he
you
literally
asshole.
is like, if you take a picture of a person from an elevated plane, they'll have multiple.
I was like, so you're telling me
they'll
if I
have
laid
multiple
down
shadows,
on the
and I
floor-
went, that's not true.
I was like, that's not real.
They'd have
Some would say I
multiple-
wouldn't even have a shadow. Because I'm like,
yeah, I was like, you only get multiple shadows if you have lights facing at you from multiple angles.
Right, like. Why? And then he's like, those are mind shadows. And you can harness the mind shadows and extend them to do X, Y, and Z. And I was like,
then why can't I?
What is going on?
Why can't I?
Like, why can't I do that?
It's like watching Dragon Ball and being like, why can't I Kamehameha?
Yeah. Come on. I have Vajra.
I want to do the Kamehameha.
Also, did anybody else notice that a lot of characters just didn't have names?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like they were just there, but never had a name. Like they would only be called like professor or doctor or something of that same ilk. And I'm like, do these people not have names?
Are these people real?
Because they don't matter.
I guess
Nobody matters in this story.
I guess
everybody
not.
does.
Except for apparently Mel and Ryu.
But it was really
Maybe this whole series is just like
it was just really weird. I don't even think the mayor had a name. I think he was only
Just
referred to
the
as
mayor.
the mayor.
Maybe this whole series is just like an exploration of just nihilism.
Maybe.
Maybe it's just like, you know what? Nothing matters. That's it.
The only thing that matters is once the world's fucking population is left to 0, you resurrect 2 that already have a child, and then you just let them figure it out.
Give it like an Adam and Eve type deal, but they already have the kid.
Yeah, and then they have the second kid, which means that there doesn't have to be the incest to figure out the human race until the next kid. And then there has to be.
Until the next kid.
Adam and Eve, there's no logic behind Adam and Eve unless they were made more humans with them also. Because if they didn't, you couldn't make more without having to circle back around.
I mean, you're right.
Circle back around on that one.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
like,
get back to this one.
yeah,
It's awful.
it's not inaccurate.
But yeah,
I also like how the Genocyber doesn't look anything like the Genocyber on the poster.
Nope, not at all.
Like, not even the red form.
not one
Not
bit.
even the red form looks like that.
that's so funny.
That is not what the
I have
Genocyber looks
never
like at all.
seen the poster.
That looks
but
like an Ava more than a Genocyber.
It doesn't look anything like that.
It looks more like the Devilman form than like in Devilman Crybaby.
Right, a little bit.
Yeah. Than what they fucking do. Yeah.
I just felt like overall I was very confused. I did not have a good time.
A solid 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
This is the 4th time I've seen the show.
It's
And I still don't know.
1 out of 10. I think
Yeah.
that might be the lowest I've ever rated anything.
I feel like
Really?
I would agree with the 1 out of 10.
I was going to give it like a 2.
Actually, no, I would give it a 2 because even though unintentional, I did laugh at some moments.
I did too. And also that action scene at the end of episode 1 was
But
pretty
like,
raw.
but
It's pretty tough.
you see, I was also thinking that, but I was like,
I feel like Handshakers is a 1 out of 10.
Handshakers was the worst thing I've ever seen. This was not.
This, I at least laughed at how, so bad it's good. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
no, it wasn't really even so bad. It's good though. I feel like
'Cause
No,
I feel
yeah,
like-
it was just kind of
it was just bad. I gave Handshakers a 2. I gave this if I'm going by this logic, Genocyber was a 1, Handshakers was a 2, Elfin Lead was a 3.
Elfin Lead, I think, is like a 5. It's middle of the road.
No, Elfin Lead fucking sucks.
It is bad, but
This this one held my attention. Handshakers, I fell asleep watching.
Handshakers.
So I think this one
I
at
think-
least.
I think at least this one I can be like, okay, I know this isn't it, but maybe this is the deeper plot they were thinking
but
about.
the thing with Handshakers
Whereas
is
Handshakers, I leave that show actively dumber.
no, yes, yeah, but Handshakers has a story you can follow, regardless of how
True.
stupid it
True.
is.
True.
There
That
is
is
a
true.
linear story.
Which
That is true.
by in at least in terms of like competency, it does a better job than Genocyber.
I
Which
guess that's
I
fair.
feel like technically gives it the point above because at least you can follow the
At
plot
least
from A to
something
fucking B. Like no matter how bad that plot is, at least you understand it exists.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fair.
Where
That's
this
fair.
fails on every level of not being able to understand
narrative cohesion.
It's animation. It's yeah.
So you know how some things will have like non-linear storytelling, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, because you're doing it to like add effects or whatever. So you have like constant flashbacks or whatever, right? And it's like, okay, I see what you did there. Intrigue, nice. You watch it a second time, and you're like, I see all these little hints and clues. Love it, right?
Yeah.
This has non-linear storytelling, but instead of being like, okay, here's the present and here's the past and here's the future, right? Like this. Instead, it's like, here's events that happen in a circle. And then you smush the circle. And then you scatter them somewhere. And that's how we'll present them.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No rhyme or reason.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
you've been saying.
Not a lick of goddamn
like
sense.
there's just things happening on the screen.
And you really can't even claim it's an anthology because
It's
No,
a
it's
slideshow,
not.
essentially. I mean,
like an anthology, because even in an anthology where you go from like different characters and stories or whatever,
yeah.
you still have a plot.
and none
There's
of them really
still
have
a
plots.
start and a finish, and something that's happened throughout.
Yep.
Like, okay, American Horror Story, even though nowadays it's not so good.
Is it still going?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it
Season
is.
12 is coming out. But anyway, so like, even then, at least even in the not so good seasons, there is a beginning and an end. You could be like, okay, this is how the season starts, and this is where it ends, and this is how they got from point A to point B. You can explain those things,
Yep.
right? Here, you can't be like, they got from point A to point B, and this is what happened in between because of X, Y, and Z. You'd be like, they started at point A, and then got to like point pi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't even be in the same universe.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
That's why episode 4 was like, oh, it's an entirely new show.
Sure
Like,
is.
Yeah, it was so confusing. I was like, I remember being like in episode 4, I was like, wait, what? Did I miss something? Like, what the fuck happened to the people we were following the whole time?
No.
Yep. They all died.
They all die.
They all died.
That's the lesson of literally every episode is everyone dies.
Everyone dies. Nothing
Uh,
matters.
So anyway, that was our episode about Genocyber.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't believe we actually did it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It brought Anthony back for an
Hey.
episode.
Woo!
All
right, back in the basement.
Yeah, back in the basement.
Yeah, it's all right. See you guys
Get the
later.
fuck out of here.
All right.
All right.
Well, it was lovely, everybody. Thank you all. Going back to the basement.
Well, hey, while he goes back to the basement where he belongs, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review, like, follow. Check out Kat the Moonstar on Twitch. You have
I think 3 weeks.
3 weeks? 3 weeks? Yeah, something like that. I think 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Whatever the number is, you have till 5 or 0 to
Mike
watch
will
the
put
thing.
it on the screen, hopefully.
Well, you know, maybe. We think 3 weeks till you have to watch Anohana. And again, we stand by. If Kat doesn't like this, she's dead to us.
She has no soul.
Yeah, she's dead to us. That's it. That's the end of that story. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week for whatever we talk about.
Bye.
Bye.
Mike 4.
Mike 3.
Mike 2.
So make sure I don't break anything when I'm
It's like, yeah, make it the most easy path for you.
You just slam into the shelf.
Just fucking break everything.
Do like a WWE like elbow smash into the table.
Anyway.